So hello everyone, so I will be discussing our different topics through online discussion. So our chapter 1 is about the dynamics of people and organizations. So people tend to be very effective at managing relationships when they can understand and control their own emotions and can empathize with the feelings of others. Just like in our previous discussion we already mentioned about the definition of a human behavior. Okay, so the chapter 1 objectives is to understand the different meaning of organizational behavior, the key goals and forces with which it is concerned, basic concepts of organizational behavior, the major approaches taken in this book, how organizational behavior affects organizational performance, and the limitation of organizational behavior. So let's begin on the definition first. First thing is we need to define what is organizational behavior. Okay, so organizational behavior is the systematic study and careful application of knowledge about how people or as individual or as group act within the organization. As we already talked about, organizational behavior is always seen of what is the understanding of what is going on at the workplace. So it is always useful to begin with the definition, the goals, the forces, and major characteristics of organizational behavior. As you can read here in the definition given in this slide, organizational behavior provides a useful set of tools at many levels of analysis. So for example, we have here, it helps the managers look at the behavior of every individual within an organization. Simply explains that in every organizational places or workplace, the manager always define the characteristic of their workers through their behaviors. Meaning, when we say behaviors, this is the personalities, the actions, the sentiments, and the other emotions that helps the manager know what suits the employees. Okay? Gaya nga nung paulit-ulit nating examples dun sa klase natin, hindi mo naman pwedeng iset agad-agad yung pagkakakilanlan mo sa isang tao if hindi mo sila i-assess or kung hindi mo iseset yung first impressions mo kapag nakilala mo sila. Ganun din sa isang organization, okay? Okay, so it says also here that at the next level, organizational behavior is in the next level, organizational behavior is valuable for examining the dynamics of relationships within small groups, both formal teams and informal groups. When two or more groups need to coordinate their efforts, such as in the engineering and sales managers, which becomes interested in the intergroup relationships that merge. Meaning, if there will be a groupings in every organization, kung merong iba't ibang grouping sa isang organization, hindi mahihirapang magkaroon ng interrelationship ang iba't ibang empleyado if they do have the same interests. Okay, so it can also be viewed and managed as whole system that have inter-organizational relationship, meaning they also have the same concept, ideas. That's why they are connecting to each other. Okay, so let us now proceed with the goals. So most sciences share 4 goals. This is to describe, to understand, to predict, and control some phenomena. So these are also called as the goals of organizational behavior. So the first objective is to describe. So systematically, this is how people behave under a variety of conditions. So achieving these goals allows managers to communicate about human behavior at work using a common language. For example, so we have example here. One benefit from the study of this book is the acquisition of a new vocabulary about organizational behavior. For example, the glossary at the end of this book. So second goal is to understand. Okay, so before we proceed to the understand, let me first explain about describe. Describing is giving the different definition of every organization. Yun nga, yung sabi nga natin last meeting sa mga iba't ibang examples natin, kung anong part or sa isang organization, may iba't iba tayong officers. So, yung iba't ibang officers na yon ay meron silang kanya-kanyang job description. So, we need to describe what is the objective or ano nga ba yung role ng position na yon at kung kanino nga ba siya fit. Okay? So, yon ang description. So, next one or describe. Or next one is to understand. So, why people behave as they do. So, managers would be highly frustrated if they could only talk about behaviors of their employees but not understand the reasons behind those actions. Okay, so with this one, so we already described, we already have the definition. Next step is we need to understand. Okay, so in every organization, in every workers, they have their different scenarios, they have their different emotions, or they have their different ways of how they express their feelings. Kung nagtratrabaho silang masaya, nagtratrabaho silang malungkot, nagtratrabaho silang galit, lahat yon may factors on how they will perform their job at a day. And as a manager or as a head of the organization, we really need to understand the situations. Okay? So, we do not have to judge agad-agad. Hindi natin sila pwedeng maglagay na agad ng quotations kung bakit sila ganon. Okay? Example, hindi maganda yung trabaho ni Maria ngayong araw na to. Hindi naman siya ganun dati. So, as a manager, we need to understand what is going on. So, enable for us to understand what do we do. So we ask the person, is anything okay? Is everything all right? Are there some people bothering you? Do you have any problems? So like that, tanungin nyo sila para maintindihan ninyo kung bakit nga ba ganon ang nagiging interaction niya sa workplace ninyo. Okay? So, managers need also to learn to probe for underlying explanations. Okay? So, every manager or every head of every organization, they need at least to know how to control the crowd, or, yun nga, yung sinasabi na lang natin na chismis. So yun nga, yung mga chismis na naririnig natin. So, hindi natin kailangang, yes, we need at least to listen about the story, but at least we need to know what is the main reason bakit nila pinag-uusapan yung isang empleyado. Okay? So, kapag nalaman na ng mga head natin kung bakit nila pinag-uusapan, the head or the managers also needs to talk and listen to the side of the victim. Okay? So, ganun lang yon. And then, next one we have here is the predicting. Okay? So, predicting future employee behavior is another goal of organizational behavior. So, ideally, managers would have the capacity to predict which employees might be dedicated and productive or which ones might be absent, tardy, or disruptive. Okay, so ideally, in every managers, nakikita na nila minsan hindi sa mga managers yon, sa mga HR or sa human resource. So, as they hire different employees or different people, so, nakikita na nila yon in psychologically, in the actions, in the facial expressions, napapansin na nila lahat yon. So, sa isang organization, if you are already an empleyado ka na, so, lagi kang tinitignan ng mga boss nyo. Tatandaan nyo yan. Kasi, they always predict on how the person. So how the person acts on the first day or first week of their work. Doon, observations yon, okay? So, tinitignan palagi ng managers kung sino ba yung mga karapat-dapat or kung sino nga ba yung mga fit sa every position na kanilang hinahanap. Okay? So, actions yon palagi. So, parang sa sayings nga, actions are louder than voices. Okay? So, yon. So, ganun din. If the manager saw you working hard on your first week of your work, meaning, meron silang pwedeng ibigay sa iyo na trust na kayang-kaya mong gampanan yung role na ibibigay sa iyo sa position na available. So, ganun palagi ang tatandaan ninyo. Managers or head of organizations always predict the behaviors of their employees in terms of their actions. Okay? So, next to prediction is control. Okay? So, the final goal of organizational behavior is to control. So, at least partially, and develop some human activity at work. So, since managers are held responsible for performance outcomes, they are vitally interested in being able to make an impact on employee behavior, skill development, team effort, and productivity. And managers also need to be able to improve every result through the actions they and their employees take. And organizational behavior can aid them in their pursuit of this goal. So, what is the role of controlling or control? Okay? So, as a head, kailangan ng head or ng mga boss na i-control yung crowd minsan sa sobrang hype ng organization nila, hindi nila napapansin na there's something left behind or merong hindi na a-accomplish na dapat ma-accomplish. Ganon, okay? So, the manager also need to evaluate or observe their employees if they are all doing well in every task given to them. Okay? So, some people may fear that the tools of organizational behavior will be used to limit their freedom and take away their rights. So, although that scenarios is possible, it is not likely, for the actions of most managers today are subject to intense scrutiny. So, managers need to remember that organizational behavior is a human tool for human benefit. So, it also applies broadly to the behavior of the people in all types of organizations such as the businesses, government, schools, and service organizations. So, wherever organizations are, there is a need to describe, understand, predict, and better manage human behavior. It doesn't mean na yung manager ay may karapatang mag-hold or mag-control ng emotions ninyo as an individual or as empleyado. So, sila lamang yung spotlight or highlights na kailangan ninyong tignan palagi na kailangan yung magtrabaho ng maayos, kailangan yung i-apply lahat yung proper behavior etiquettes, professionalism. So, we always need to set aside our emotions within our workloads. Okay, so professionalism is always need to be at the top of priority as long as you walk inside your workplace already. Okay, so last meeting we already discussed about this chart. Okay, so this is the key forces which affects the organizational behavior. So we already discussed about the people, the structure, the technology, and environment. Okay, so let me first repeat it again as for your reference. Okay, so first one is we have here the people. So, what is people? Okay, so people make up the internal social system of the organization. So, the system consists of individuals and groups and large group as well as the small ones. So some are unofficial, informal groups, and more official or formal ones. So every groups are dynamic, may pagkaiba-iba yang lahat na yan. So sometimes they form, they change, and they also disband. Okay? So, people are the living, the thinking, feeling beings who work in the organization to achieve their objectives. So, we must remember that organization exists to serve people rather than people existing to serve organization. So, simple as that. So, people is the one who manage the said organization. Okay, so next one. Okay, so next one is we have the structure. So structure defines the formal relationship and use of people in the organization. So different jobs are required to accomplish all of an organization's activities. So there are managers and employees, accountants, and assemblers. So it depends on what type of organization is that. So these people have to be related in some structural way so that their work can be effectively coordinated. Kung ang tinapos mo ay hospitality management, meaning you will be working in the restaurants, hindi sa mga iba't ibang facility na malayo at hindi related sa bachelor degree mo. Depende na lang if you will collect any experience on the said job you are applying for. This kind of relationship create a complex problems of cooperation, negotiation, and decision making. Okay, so in every structures, there are always an effectivity or sometimes naman deficiency kasi hindi naman pare-parehas ang objectives ng structures at hindi nga pare-parehas ang behaviors or emotions ng every individuals. Okay, so let's move on to the next forces. Okay, next forces is under technology. When we say technology, this provides the resources with which people work and affects the tasks that they perform. So they cannot accomplish much with their bare hands, so they can construct buildings, design machines, create work processes, and assemble resources. Gaya nga ng recitations ninyo last meeting na sa panahon ngayon, we really need different machineries for us to work easily and faster. Okay? So, sabi nga natin nun, merong mga advantages and disadvantages ang technology sa atin. In advantages, this really helps us to work faster in the fastest mode of working, and we can easily do our tasks. And effective siya sa lahat ng mahihirap na papadali talaga natin. In the other hand, there are also disadvantages. When we say disadvantages, sabi nyo nga last meeting, machineries are not good, especially sa farming kasi meron ng mga equipments na ginagamit natin in a high form of technology na minsan nasa-set aside na yung work ng mga tao. Yun nga, yung sa pagsaka, sa pagtanim, sa pag-harvest. So, yun, hindi na natin kailangan ng help ng mga tao or ng mga magsasaka na sometimes it is not good kasi nawawalan sila ng source of income. Okay, so the next forces is under environment. So all organizations operate within an internal and external environment. So a single organization does not exist alone. So it is a part of a larger system that contains many other elements such as the government, the family, and other organizations. So numerous changes in the environment create demands on organizations. it also says here that citizens expect organizations to be socially responsible. New products and competition for customers come from around the globe. So just like we already discussed last meeting, competition is really very necessary in every organization. Dahil if there is no competition, parang boring lang. Ganon. Ang environment is hindi siya ganon ka-socialize. Okay? So, individual organizations such as factory or a school cannot escape being influenced by this external environment also. Sa internal at external, example natin dyan is yung sa school. Okay, so within the school, we always have our own socializations, ganon. So, but because of external factors, yung sa outside na ng school, syempre lumalabas, pumapasok din tayo sa isang school organization. So, hindi maiiwasan na yung certain issues na pwedeng connected under sa schools. Kunwari, ang ISO, walang pasok, ganon. Ang Lasalet, hindi pa nag-a-announce ng walang pasok. So, it can be a factor that affects the internal organization of the University of La Salette's school. Ganon. So, yun yung example natin sa internal and external. Okay, so let's move forward to the positive characteristics of the organizational behavior field. Okay, so one major strength of organizational behavior is its interdisciplinary nature. So this integrates the behavioral sciences with other social sciences that can contribute to the subject. So this applies, it implies from these disciplines any ideas that will improve the relationships between people or organization. Its interdisciplinary nature is similar to that of medicine, which implies knowledge from the physical, biological, and social sciences into a workable medical practice. Okay? So, this means that in every interdisciplinary nature, this really involves the systematic body of knowledge which pertains to why and how people behave as they do. Gaya nga ng sabi natin. So, in every organization, naaapektuhan yung trabaho ng isang empleyado base or base sa nararamdaman nila, sa emotions na meron sila, kung masaya ba sila, malungkot, or galit. Mapapansin mo palagi yan sa galaw or sa performance ng isang empleyado. If they are doing well, then maybe something good happened to him or to her. If he failed a task or nagkamali siya sa isang binigay sa kanyang activity or need niyang i-perform or i-meet, ay hindi niya na-meet yung limit, which means maybe something is bothering him or her. Okay? So, gaya nga ng sabi natin, na paulit-ulit nating sinasabi na as you walk into your workplace, always prioritize your professionalism and left behind your emotions. Okay, so another strength of organizational behavior is the emerging base of research knowledge, the models, and conceptual frameworks. So the field of organizational behavior has grown in depth and breadth, and it will continue to mature. Kasi nga, every day, meron tayong may pagbabago. Okay, so every day, nagde-develop, nag-i-improve lahat-lahat. Okay, so the keys to its past and future success revolve around the related processes of theory development, research, and managerial practices. Okay, so let's move forward to the theories. Okay, so these offer explanations of how and why people think, feel, and act as they do. Okay, so theories identify important variables and link them to form tentative propositions that can be tested through research, di ba? Kapag nagkakandak tayo ng research or soon magkakandak kayo ng research ninyo, pag-aaralan ninyo lahat-lahat ng detalye at yung mapag-aaralan ninyong mga detalye sa every part ng research ninyo ay magbe-base kayo palagi ng theory. Okay, kung bakit nyo ba siya pag-aaralan? Ano nga ba yung kalalabasan? And at the end, yun nga, mag-create kayo ng sarili ninyong conclusion. Minsan kasi, kapag i-connect natin siya sa human behavior, mapapansin ninyo na nag-iisip kayo ng iba't ibang dahilan kung bakit nga ba ganon yung actions ng classmate ninyo. 'Di ba? Ang daming pumapasok sa isip ninyo. And as time goes by, ino-observe nyo siya at doon sa observation nyo na yon, hindi nyo maitatanggi na meron kayong na-cross out na mga theories. Okay? So, next is, this also, good theories are also practical. They address significant behavioral issues. Say they contribute to our understanding and they provide guidelines for managerial thought and action. So, in every speculations, there are always a good outcome. Yun nga yung sinasabi natin na pwede nating i-control yung iba't ibang behavior na yon at pwede pa nating maisaayos yung mga behavior na napapansin natin na very disturbing. So next one here is research. Okay, so research is the process of gathering and interpreting relevant evidence that will either support a behavioral theory or help change it. So research is a hypothesis which are testable statements connecting the variables in a theory and they guide the process of data collection. Okay, in the research, yun nga, research, pag-aaralan mo. Maghahanap ka ng iba't ibang reference. Okay, so let's connect this to the different behavioral theory. Okay, so our research can be helpful to develop more, improve more in terms or with the help of data gatherings. So pag-aaralan nyo ng mabuti yon, may step by step siya, di ba? May every part siya or chapters. So the research also can help change the behavioral theory na mapapansin nila sa pinag-aaralan nila na there is something wrong or disturbing sa isang behavior ng study nila. So they can change it by concluding their own insights. Okay? Okay, so after the theory, the research, we also have the practice. Okay? So in this ways, the theory and the research form a natural and healthy foundation for practice, which is the conscious application of conceptual models and research results in order to improve individual and organizational performance at work. So dito na makikita yung actions to be done kasi nga practice, di ba? After the theory, after the research, if there is already a result, then they can put it into practice. Okay? So, managers also have a vital role to play in the other direction, the development of the theory and conduct of research. So, the feedback from practitioners can suggest whether theories and models are simple or complex, realistic or artificial, and useful or also useless. Organizations serve as a research sites and provide the subjects for various studies. Okay? So, as shown kanina dito sa as shown mamaya dito sa next slide natin. So, meron tayo dyang papakitang figure sa 1.2 or so this is the figure from theory to research to practice. Okay, so the fortunately, a third major strength of organizational behavior is the increasing acceptance of theory and research by practicing managers. So this willingness of managers to explore new ideas explains why this 12th edition of organizational behavior includes a broad sampling of theory and research results. So managers today are more receptive to new models. They support related research, which makes them hungers for experiment with new ideas. Okay? So, yun nga, from the theory or yung katang-isip or yung pag-observation na bumabagsak siya sa research, which is pag-aaralan nila yon step by step until they will have the result or the feedbacks or the data gatherings is already completed, which is somehow after the research pwede na siyang i-come out as a practice. Okay, so our first recorded discussion will end here, and later on I will be sending the part 2. Okay, so you can use the ebook I have sent in our GC as your reference for you to understand more our lesson, and for you to go back again on the things that you cannot understand. So after this online discussion, you are free to send me a message if you have any questions regarding our chapter 1. Okay, so thank you.